here around you and.
Yeah, we do that. And we were short Zach, but.
Right. Price he pays for being in Palm Springs.
There should be something negative about going to Palm Springs, right? I mean, it shouldn't all be.
Shouldn't all be rainbows and.
That's right. Good evening. This is the time and the place for the November 20, 2023 Marshalltown Community School District Board Meeting. Welcome to those of you joining us here in person. Welcome as well to anybody who might be tuning in on YouTube or on some other streaming platform. We'll do introductions of the board members here with us this evening. To my right, Bonnie Lowry and Jan McGinnis in their final appearance before you for perhaps ever. Who knows? To my left, Karina Hernandez, Sarah Faltis, Leah Stanley. Seated here at the center table with me, Dr. Theron Schutte, the superintendent of schools, and Mr. Randy Denham, our board secretary. We also have one student school board member here in person, Giselle Hernandez Ibarra, and more joining us virtually at presentation time, perhaps? Okay. I am Sean Heitman, so those are the introductions. Couple of announcements. We've got a pink sign-up sheet there on the speakers table for anybody here to speak at public comment. A couple of reminders. We need you to sign up on the pink sheet, and then you'll be given 5 minutes to address the board. Iowa law prohibits the discussion of specific employees of the district or their job performance. And please also understand that in accordance with board policy, board members will not respond to comments so that we can comply with open meeting laws. Anything else?
You got it.
All right. Would y'all please join me then in reading the mission statement of the school district? We develop learners who have the knowledge, skills, and positive mindset to successfully pursue a meaningful future through personalized learning experiences. And please stand as you're able and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
There are not.
Then is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Lowry Faltis, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Abby.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Get us
evening.
sit front and center here.
So starting off tonight, Abby Tollefson, the 2023 State Girls Diving Champion, is here with us tonight. To claim the title, Abby had a final score of 504.55. She is here tonight to kind of talk about the experience winning the title, kind of the emotions going through it. Surprise, by the way.
Oh, I'm talking. Okay. Going into state meet was super exciting. Me and Kate both got to compete, and being the last meet, I was a little sad, but it was a super fun meet overall. And Kate made it past the first cut, which was super exciting. And then obviously it was super exciting to claim the first place title.
Mm-hmm. And then the assistant coach is here tonight. Leah, if you want to chat real
Oh
quick.
yeah, you have to talk too.
Yeah, that's okay. I talk for a living. I was a little more ready. Maybe I forgot to warn Abby. Yeah, Abby is, she's a senior this year, and we've really enjoyed having 4 years with Abby. I told her mom at the state meet, Abby was talent walking in the door. She was a strong freshman, she was a strong sophomore, and it's been really exciting through the 4 years to watch her just keep moving through the state meet. She's been a 4-year qualifier, didn't make it through. She talked about those cuts a little bit, didn't make it through her freshman year, but she stuck with it, and she really improved herself as an athlete and as a young lady, which we love to see, and got to finish strong with the state title. So we could not ask for more.
I could be wrong, but I think this is the second state diving champion Marshtown's had, and since its inception, Heather Gross Van Buren being the first. So quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, Abby had quite the time chasing down her record. So she's been chasing down our Bobcat record board for the past 2 years, and Heather stood for a long time.
Well, we're super proud of your accomplishment and representing the school in this fashion, so congratulations.
Plans for next year, Abby?
I'm going to Iowa State to dive.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. Up next, talking a little bit about the mariachi music program. Both Mary Potter and Brett are here tonight, kind of share about the experiences, about the workshop they attended this summer, and kind of share how the program has grown and kind of what the future holds. And I know they have a short little presentation as well to go along with it. So take it away, you guys.
All right, we have just a short little presentation. They're going to talk a little bit about some of the successes, highlights, a little bit about the workshops that they have attended, and then also some goals that they have. They both have put in a lot of time. They are very dedicated to this program. The students are lucky, our community is lucky, our district is very lucky to have them and have their passion for this program and launching it and getting it started. And it's been very successful just in the 2 years that it's been going. So if we can pull up our little presentation. Okay, a little timeline. I'll let them kind of talk through how it started way back in 2019 and kind of the path it took. It took a little bit of time to get started.
Well, yes. When I first started working here in the fall of 2019, I thought mariachi would be a good fit, and so I contacted I actually went to the same high school with Ruben Newell at Denison, and we were making plans for his group to come and play with one of my Miller groups, but then COVID hit, so that was not good. So then Dr. Schutte contacted, I think, the IHSMA director and was like, who do we talk to get a mariachi program? And so then in November of 2021, we talked to Ruben and what do we need to do? And he's like, go to the workshop. So that's what we did.
We're able to go to the workshop with our other band directors in the district and learn from the best. The first workshop was in California. We got to be there with, as I said, some professionals that live and breathe mariachi. They're full programs starting all the way in 6th grade. And we got to learn the pedagogy of all the instruments. We dove into our vocal side of the program this year. But there is a string, some guitar vihuela, guitarrón, the bass voice, and of course the vocals have a strong connection to the culture and the music. So we brought back and started our programs at the Miller Middle School 7th and 8th grade group and at the high school. And then we continued for the second time, another professional development. This time was in Las Vegas. Another professional group of musicians. I think we added a different vocalist helping us this year, and we improved our repertoire. We got a whole nother binder as an intermediate class and learned different skills. There's different techniques with the strumming, and just overall, there's not too many styles to go through, but there's definitely some more challenging rhythms and chords to choose from depending on the music. And I think it'll be the next one maybe, offers more.
So a few highlights and successes that they've seen over time. I'll let Mary talk a little bit about that.
Well, I've been overwhelmed with the response, the community response. That first concert, with the band played and then mariachi played and all the phones came out, and it's like it didn't matter what we sounded like. They just loved that mariachi.
It's really been neat this year, especially. I've noticed a really good draw at the high school with a connection to the culture and a tradition. We have students that have been in it a year. Now coming to the high school, they're able to make those connections. The family is invested. As Mary said, with the concerts, the families really enjoy the opportunity, and it has a good impact on our connection with the students and their musical involvement.
And then we've also sparked a little interest from the media. So KCCI came in October and did a spot on our mariachi program. So we're going to watch it tonight. It's about 2 minutes. If you didn't catch it when it was on TV, you can watch kind of the highlights here.
In Marshalltown, there's a new sound coming from the band room.
Next comment, ready trumpets.
Some might describe it as
Loud.
others say it's
Boisterous.
Easy to dance to.
Joy, emotion, excitement, sadness. 3, 1, ready.
The Marshalltown Mariachi Bands launched last year and gained an overwhelming amount of support.
The enthusiasm is just huge. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Like, it's meant to be.
Now in their second year, the bands are thriving. They are offered at both the junior high and high school level, with student interest on the rise.
It's important for our community, our school district, with our current demographic, our population needs it and wants it.
For some students and even teachers, it's a new and exciting experience.
I've never seen an instrument like this till I started playing it.
I've learned about the culture and the style.
For others, it's a generational connector to their families and heritage.
My grandparents are proud of this.
Ever since I was little, my parents and my grandparents would play marimba on the TV.
With a Hispanic population of nearly 60%, these bands are a real source of pride for this Iowa community.
I think it's important because Marshalltown is really diverse.
Well, there's a lot of Hispanics here in Marshalltown.
My other two concert bands play at a concert and then mariachi. And it just, all the phones come out, when mariachi starts.
A sound that continues to flow from generation to generation and now into the heart of Iowa. In Marshalltown, Alyssa Gomez, KCCI 8 News, Iowa's news leader.
They sound great. Both bands meet weekly and are always looking for new members to join. They each perform at least twice a year at band concerts.
In Marshalltown.
Here's a photo you can see of the team that attended the National Mariachi Education Workshop. This was this past summer in Las Vegas. So there's 5 Marshalltown band directors and then 3 other Iowa band directors that were there too. They were able to connect with them. They have their, what do you call the?
Moño.
Moño.
On so that they look authentic. And then lastly, we'll talk a little bit about potential next steps.
I guess for me, it's, I need some better quality vuelas, which we'll figure out with Marthel and Thai funds or something. I do want to get an educational experience for them that's not me, that's from the southwest of the country, or I know there's some mariachi groups in Des Moines too. Maybe we can get somebody out here to give them some educational experiences.
Yeah, we've been talking with different community members about exploring ways that we can reach beyond just our concerts at the school, doing performances, and looking at uniforms. The trajes are a great way to unify and another cultural aspect, but the moños is what we used for our performances at the mariachi workshop.
Any questions?
I remember, as Mary said, I had reached out trying to find out who we could talk to, not knowing Mary had already reached out to the same people a year or so before, and not unique to Marshalltown. Every place I've been, there's always some advocacy for additional staffing, and this was a way that I felt, I had shared, I think Paul Sybil was the primary one that was talking to me and about needing more staffing because the large numbers down at the intermediate, and I think my words to him was, if you can guarantee me we'll have mariachi at the middle and high school, I'll get you another staff member. And I assumed that we'd probably be hiring for that, but then after sending you guys to the first convention or conference down there and the enthusiasm that Mary already had and that everybody seemed to get for getting this program off the ground, I'm just extraordinarily proud of the way you figured out a way to work it to give our kids that experience. And kind of the running joke for us now is if we want to get parents to a meeting, we just open up with the mariachi and there'll be plenty. So, but kudos to you for the great job you've done the last couple of years, and excited to see the continued development of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kirk?
Oh, yes, you are.
Oh, Dr.
Good
Hall.
evening. Okay, so am I starting? Okay, so yeah. So this would normally be No Shave November for us at the high school. Kind of pushed that off to the side. It just wasn't going like it used to. So looking for some other way to do something to help support those in our school that have cancer, support the American Cancer Society, bring our staff closer together. With the culture committee, we started talking about the things that I use, that I create when I demonstrate for my students. So this year they've been making mixing bowls and plates, nested mixing bowls. So we came up with trying a silent auction. It was an idea where those things that I had made for demonstration pieces would be auctioned off, and then the proceeds would be donated to the American Cancer Society and stuff. So we're looking for permission to do that, I guess is why we're here. So we have a few things to work with. We have found an online auction company, their silent auction organization, would that be the way to put it? That we're looking at possibly going through. We'd like to open it up to the community as well as all, the other schools, not just the high school, as a way to showcase what we do at the high school, to showcase that we support other things besides just the high school things, a way to bring things together. I, as a teacher, believe that with what I do with the pottery and the art for our kids, that we need to emphasize the fact that it's not just something you do to get out of class and come to another room, that it's something that has meaning, that it's a way to support your community and things that way. And I think this is a way to show that I, as a teacher, do that and not just sit up there and tell them how they should do it. And I think that's an important part that, you know, if it's going to be real world, it needs to be real world for all of us, not just the students. And so, you know, I own my own pottery company. This is my passion, has been since I was started here at Miller with Gary Statler. So it's time to spread it out more.
When's the auction run?
Well, we were hoping to have started today, but we're not quite set yet. Somebody's got to finish glazing those bowls. And so we're hoping actually next Monday is our goal. We'd like to do something where we do it weekly, where we auction off a few things basically through the month of November and have the last one auction close the 22nd. Is that the last day for spring break or for Christmas break? I'm ready for spring, excuse me. It's been a really long year. Last auction would close right before Christmas break. So.
Are there any barriers or challenges that we currently have as a district that would get in the way of providing an opportunity to do this auction on a weekly basis?
I don't. Randy?
Sorry, I was typing minutes. I didn't catch the
Are
entire
there,
question.
are there any challenges or barriers with regard to district policy that would get in the way of providing the opportunity to do this auction on a weekly basis?
Not that I can think of, as long as board and administration approves of the
Great.
fundraiser.
Nice.
And I'm sure as it goes along, we'll have a few more questions about what we can or can't do, but that's where we're going to rely on Randy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And this is for the American Cancer Society?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. The approval for this is within the consent agenda, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for your work.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
Do I get to stay?
Do you want to talk about the soup bowl?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as one of the projects for my high school students, the advanced pottery kids are making soup bowls to donate to the House of Compassion for their soup luncheon. And I didn't realize it, but I guess we need permission to do that as well. And so this is something we've done in the past and we've been doing for a while. And, you know, it's been a big hit. I've had kids come up today. Not only do we donate the bowls, but they have a table full of things that they sell. So I have kids that donate their work for that to help out the House of Compassion. So oh my gosh, I don't know how many bowls we do. Right now I have 4 pottery classes, so I have probably, I think I counted up 32 advanced pottery students that will be doing this. So we'll be doing 8 bowls a student. Mm-hmm. They are required to do 4 bowls per quarter, so 8 for the semester. You know, you can look at pottery from all kinds of different forms, you know, but probably the most common one that we think of is that production potter, the guy that makes his living doing this. And I want them to kind of understand some of that. So they're doing 4 bowls and they're making 4 more. And it's like, it's something that I never wanted to do, you know, this is where I want to be, you know, and that repetitiveness, the doing it over, and that form is the most basic function, you know, there is. You know, we start with it, you know, it's been going on since we started, you know, here. So it works out really good, and they're thrilled to have the support. I think it's a great way for our kids to realize that they can donate to their community again and, you know, be a part of it. And it's, once again, it's not just for them to go and have fun for an hour and a half during their day. It's actually something that is beneficial. And I've had students, my first couple years here, I had a student that went to UNI and won a full ride scholarship to UNI based off of her artwork, mainly ceramics. You know, so we've been doing this for quite a while.
Yeah, I like it. I have a bowl on my organ that I get compliments on regularly, and it's from that very fundraiser.
Yeah, good, thank you.
I enjoy the 6 bowls I have at my home also. It's awesome.
Yes.
They're great popcorn bowls.
Well, we actually have some in my cabinet at home too that aren't
Yeah.
mine, so I have very little of mine. It actually belongs to me, so my kids prefer somebody else's or their own, so.
I think on the first ask, the key thing, and I think I shared this with you in an email, is once you have a handle on the number of items and the types of items that we're going to auction, it would be good to have that list shared with the board to approve, to declare of no value so that it can either
Okay.
be sold or discarded like we do other school equipment and stuff.
Okay.
As far as the student bowls go, I think the board's approval here is sufficient to just continue to do what you've been doing there.
Okay. Do you want me back next year, or do I need to do this every year for approval for the?
No, now that you've presented, as long as you provide us with that list of items that you're looking to.
And that would be for the silent auction,
Right,
correct?
just for
Okay.
the silent auction, yeah.
But for the soup luncheon, do I need to, we'll do it again next year. No? Okay.
It'd just be good for maybe us to be aware when it is. and-
Yep, no,
yeah.
we'll definitely.
Yep.
When that's one, I'm not sure, it's normally in March sometime, I believe. They all of a sudden call me and say, okay, you got the bowls ready? We're gonna be here tomorrow to pick them up. It's like, thank you. So, we've got stacks of them already. Yep. Well, thank you.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
So Jim and Brian, if you want to come forward. Thank you so much for coming this evening. Jim Gruding, Brian Vance from McDine Corporation. I know I'm not going to remember everything here in this list of things, but since my coming back to Marshtown in 2016, very early on, I reached out to McDine as well as some other community partners looking for help and support in a variety of ways to help improve the opportunities for not only our students but also our staff. I know McDine is an annual participant in our Teacher Externship Academy, where we have our Marshtown teachers as well as other areas, schools, tour McDine and learn about what they do and what types of jobs and the skills and the knowledge and the talents and the attributes they look for people to fill those jobs. I know that when we were looking at building a career and technical education modular tech lab at the middle school to get kids experience with the different areas for which they'd be able to do further study when we got up to the high school, McDine stepped up and helped sponsor one of those modules that we had related to computer science. I know we reached out to them to be a business partner when Lenahan applied to be considered to be a model computer sciences elementary school, and they wound up being one of the first, I think, 8 schools across the state to get that designation. So we appreciate that, and most recently we invited Jim and Chris and whoever else to come over to take a look at the new esports lab that we had established over at the high school. And I think they were very impressed with what we had put together in pretty short notice. They also were participating sponsor in that, and from that has become a significant partnership, and Amy will help me talk about this here, is because from the moment we got that program off the ground, we started having discussions about a bigger project, which was to try to get the state esports championships here in Marshalltown. We knew that as a district, we probably wouldn't be able to accomplish that by ourselves, but through the help of the chamber and McDine and other businesses that helped sponsor, we pulled it off in stellar fashion Wednesday through Friday. So, Amy, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit because we just got done with a marathon of an event. It was 3 days, pretty much 24/7.
And it just could not have been nearly what it was without McDine. And the neatest thing that I was telling Dr. Schutte is that I have a class actually that I teach in AV Tech and a club as well. And we brought some of our students up to meet. I think it was Jake and Gary up there. And they were so just interested, and you could tell, wow, maybe this is something we'd be interested in doing. And I loved that connection. And then, of course, as a kind of a nerd myself, no offense, I loved every single thing that, I mean, they had to kind of reverse engineer the whole room to figure out what had been done there, what needed to be done, and then put something together, and they did it in a couple days. So I won't make you keep standing up here any longer, but we just couldn't appreciate it more, and it was so neat, and it was really seeing how much work you guys put into it.
As a token of our appreciation, we'd like to recognize you as a career readiness partner of the Marshtown Community School District, and thank you for everything that you've done for us.
So I just would say that this project, was really, it was a dream project for me because it kind of takes a lot of the things that I'm passionate about, and that's this technology that I work with, and then also doing a live event, and then also, helping kids and gaming, and kind of putting it all together in a really cool project. And I attended the spring finals. It was this last June, and that was a cool event. It was the state finals for esports, and they had it at the Recplex in West Des Moines, and it was, everybody was there having fun and they're competing, but there were, I was able to talk to the board, and we found out some of the things that they wanted to improve on. And part of it was, and it was kind of with the idea of maybe it could be at the Orpheum, kind of having that in mind, but they had people standing on tables to try to see over people's shoulders, and there was just kind of people just standing in front of the displays. But what we ended up, so we started planning this, and we kind of had some big dreams for what we thought we could do and how we could make this a better experience. And there was a lot of people were involved, but we pretty much nailed it. And it was just better than I could imagine. And I've got some pictures and things. I wish I would have had something prepared to show it, but it was really, we had the lights and the stage and the sound and the huge video screen, and it was really great. And the thing to me that kind of sticks out is these kids that are involved, like not everybody gets to compete, but they're all, kind of exposed to that video production and the shoutcasting, and they can get involved with marketing. And it's also, some of these kids maybe wouldn't be involved in sports or this kind of thing without this kind of program. Mm-hmm. So I just think it's great. And they're maybe getting excited about a career path because they could really take it anywhere into broadcast, or it could be esports jobs, but it could also be like any kind of production or marketing, or just any number of things. So it was an honor to work on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Up here, you get to be part of the picture. So another thing that was really cool is there were, I think, 8 colleges that were there, and I know a couple of kids actually signed while they were at there, and then the National Guard was there, and I think a student or two might have been recruited by them to attend. So it really is about trying to connect kids with an activity that they're passionate about, they're good at, and try to help show them pathways, beyond high school once they complete that. So again, I can't thank you enough. And it was so much more than those 3 days in terms of trying to get in a position to have that kind of experience. for the first time, and I know we're excited about trying to figure out how we can make it even better as we roll into the winter esports championships and then, of course, in the spring. So thank you again. Well, one of the things, last week, a number of our board members, as they do annually, attended the Iowa Association of School Boards Annual Conference, which was Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday were pre-conference sessions, and Thursday was the general conference. And our two new board members, soon-to-be new board members, were also able to attend one of those 2 days, which was great. Proud to say that the Marshtown School Board, for the 4th consecutive year, and I believe for the 6th year out of the last 8, achieved the Team Achievement Award, which meant that between attending conferences, workshops, doing the things outside that are necessary for our district to function as far as serving on subcommittees and that sort of thing. They were one of, I think, 30 districts from across the state out of 300 and some that were recognized. In the past, they had a little more higher criteria, and so oftentimes we found ourselves one of 4 that were being recognized or one of 7 or 8. Interestingly enough, we kind of had to scramble on this one to get her done, but we had Bonnie and Sean and Leah and Sarah and Zach, who's not with us, that achieved the individual recognition. And as long as we have a majority of our board members that do achieve the regular recognition, as well as the superintendent, they get the Team Achievement Award. So congratulations on doing a great job and being a great role model for our employees. And if we could, let's get the board, all board members next to Sean, and we'll get a picture there.
Yeah, I meant to sign up
With
for
the
this.
plaque.
Oh, you knew there.
And while everybody's doing that, Dr. Schutte, we also need to recognize you for achieving the ISB Superintendent Award again. Am I sitting? Am I standing?
sitting.
What am I doing? Okay.
You're good.
Do you want to hold the plaque? Bud?
No, but, okay, right here.
Yeah, right there.
Are you hiding behind them?
We're good.
3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you. And I have 2 other special recognitions. If Jan, Stacy, and Bonnie would come out here.
Sorry. You're fine. You're fine. We're not even.
So Bonnie and Jan have served admirably on the board for this last term and partial term. Jan was elected 4 years ago and just will be completing her first full term, has chosen to retire for the board, at least temporarily, since she can't seem to retire from work. And Bonnie, I'm really thankful for, because we were in a little bit of a pickle needing to make an appointment, and I had reached out to her knowing she was engaged in a lot of different stuff, but knowing how passionate she is about public education and Marshalltown, and she graciously, with a little bit of elbow twisting, arm twisting, took the appointment and then was elected to finish out the term of our departing board members. So I can't thank you two enough for your commitment to our kids and our staff and our community. So thank you very much. You want to get a picture, or did you get one?
Sure, I'll take a picture.
You want to? Sure.
Sure. That's why I'm here.
Oh, everybody's like, are we photobombing?
Oh, gosh. Everybody scatters.
Nope.
Oh, Sean, you don't want to be in the picture?
Need to be like directly back of that picture. No. It's kind of creepy. It's a little weird.
Yeah, there are a lot of them, so.
This is the longest, so we
Consent agenda.
More? Oh, there's more.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. We've got minutes from the November 6th board meeting.
We get started.
Dr. Ryan, any items of note in personnel? Thank you. We have interagency agreements and contracts, a grant agreement with the Iowa Department of Education for Gear Up Iowa 3.0, an agreement with the University of Iowa's Scanlon Center to have 3 paraeducators participate in the Paraeducator Fellowship Program. Change order number 4 for the Marshalltown High School Athletic Complex. A rebate proposal with Interstate Power and Light Company for the Career and Technical Education Edition. And then 2 engineering services agreements with Clapsaddle Garber, one for the Orpheum parking lot improvements and one for the high school parking lot improvements. Questions about any of those contracts or agreements? Looking at open enrollments, we have 1 out. Randy, anything to note in bills or in the monthly financials?
No, sir.
Were there any questions for Randy about the bills or the monthly financials? We've got the Silent Pottery auction approval and the Soup Bowl donation approval. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Lowry, Stanley, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. We're good on the pink sheet, right?
Yep, it's blank.
The tornado safe room.
Kevin on? Oh, where's
Is Kevin on?
Amy? You want to grab Amy?
Todd, do you want to speak to this? Because Kevin had another meeting at 5:45, so you might have had to jump off.
So yeah, as Dr. Schutte had mentioned, Kevin Epperly's not able to make it. Had the recommendation for the FEMA Tornado Safe Room out there. We received a total of, I think it was 7 different bids. All were really close. Ultimately, Larson Construction, the contractor that just finished our upgrades for the high school complex, came in as the lowest bidder for that. They came in with a bid of $3,667,000. And as another part of that work, just to make improvements with our drainage current setup we have down there, for alternate number 1 for the additional $100,000 would be to run continuous drain line from the retaining pond all the way back to the creek on the east side of the property there. And there's Kevin.
What was the amount of the grant?
If you want to pull up the recommendation letter there, it's included in that.
FEMA grant was 3.4 million.
Okay.
So the overall, basically by accepting the alternate at $100,000, that's about the amount that this project is over what was the projected estimated cost. So I highly recommend that we accept alternate 1 for that additional $100,000 because it will even better ensure that we're providing all the protection we can for the neighbors that live just north of that practice field. And we had that bid two different ways. The second way was to use concrete instead of the type of tubing that they use for the alternate one, but really the concrete isn't going to provide any additional service. So we feel, especially with us being a little bit over, that it's not worth the extra $15,000 for that.
It'll actually be the same size diameter, just PVC instead, a heavier PVC, but with not having heavy traffic driving over that, because it'll actually run along that north fence line, so rarely are there any vehicles other than maybe a mower or one of the district pickups, so.
Yeah, so the recommendation letter actually references accepting alternate 2, but we want to do alternate 1.
Alternate 1.
So I'm going to ask you this, Randy, because you're the money person. Where does, assuming you accept the bid plus alternate 1, where does that put you in terms of what's our district out-of-pocket cost, not the FEMA grant? And then where does that leave you with regards to the CTE project?
We're in good position. So technically, we're roughly about 100,000 or so over budget right now. Or, well, I guess what the alternate would be closer to 200,000, excuse me. But when we did the revenue bonds for the CTE project, it also included this tornado safe room, plus there was cushion for contingencies and any budget changes since we started this process back in late spring, early summer. So this will eat into that. We had about an $800,000 contingency built in, so this will eat at about 200,000 of that. So still sitting in very good shape financially for this.
Other questions? Is Kevin?
He wasn't able
Yeah,
to. Oh, you are
I'm
there?
here.
Okay. Kevin, were you able to hear all that?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Yeah. We're just going back and forth, muting me and unmuting me. But Todd gave a good report. 7 bidders. That's really great, especially for this size project. And you have bidders from Des Moines, obviously Cedar Rapids, Mason City, Belle Plaine, Independence, and Marshalltown. So it was really nice to see. Got a lot of interest in the project, and some of those folks stuck around after the bid opening to do the pre-bid meeting for the CTE project, which is out for bid right now.
So Kevin, we're recommending alternate 1 and not alternate 2 for approval.
Right. Okay. For the plastic pipe versus the concrete.
Correct.
Understood.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
And I will, I'll issue the notice to proceed to Larson so they can get started, and I'll work on the, well, we drafted a contract because it has some special requirements from FEMA that need to be included in the contract between Larson and the school district.
Yeah, we'll need to first send that to Chris over at Homeland Security to review before we seek board approval on that. But I do know Larson is anxious to get going.
Yeah. Yeah, they said if
Yes.
they could, they'd love to be able to mobilize and probably start as soon as they know they can.
Okay. Are there other questions for Kevin, for Todd, for anybody?
No.
Okay. Then is there a motion to approve awarding the contract for general construction of the Tornado Safe Room project to Larson Construction for the base bid of $3,667,000 and alternate 1 for $100,000?
So moved.
Second.
McGinnis, Hernandez, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
You want to talk about HVAC stuff, Todd?
And then the next one for the HVAC equipment from Lennox. These are actually 10 rooftop units that we're looking for the CTE project, as well as to also encapsulate some of the other areas at the high school to freshen up some of that equipment. Dr. Schutte worked with Kevin Swain from there, similar to like we did for the MHS and Anson AC project. Once again, you know, they worked to get us excellent pricing on all these 10 units. With that, they would come in at a cost to the district of $114,000 or $114,576.
Any questions for Todd? Dr. Schutte, anything you want to add?
Just that we use a procurement process, in this case it was TIPS, to ensure that we have fair and competitive pricing by going direct to Lennox versus having competitive quotes or bids. So I'm very happy and proud that we can make a direct purchase with a local business here and continue to build upon that partnership with Lennox Corporation.
And this is kind of another one too. The lead times have reduced some, you know, from where it was over a year to get a product. Those are coming down, but you know, we still kind of wanted to be ahead of the game, knowing this is going to take place this summer. So,
yeah, these are all custom built. So as soon as, and assuming that we have board approval, we'll issue the paperwork to Lennox and they'll get started immediately. And in doing so, we'll ensure that we have delivery of these units when we need them in the spring or whenever that is.
Any questions? Then is there a motion to approve the quote from Lennox in the amount of $114,576 for heating and cooling units to be installed at MHS as part of the HVAC project?
Move to approve.
Second.
Lowry, Faltus, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Amy, you ready?
You'd never ask. The children are being restless.
Not everybody brings their own fan club, so
They
That's-
just wanted to see all of you
that's
guys,
good thinking.
So I was like, okay.
Not true. So, thanks for having us. Hannah Fonts teaches third grade at Hoagland. Glen. Of course, I'm Amy Williams, principal here, and Megan Turbeville is our fourth grade teacher. Mallory Kern, instructional coach, came down with some illness today, so she owes us all big time. So. We're going to share with you tonight some of our highlights and some of our focuses that we've been learning about and studying and implementing throughout our school year, starting with responsive classroom. I know you've heard about it from some of the other elementary schools. We worked last year to do some implementing a morning meeting, but just a couple of the components because not many of our staff were trained. And this year, almost all of our classroom teachers and beyond have been trained, not all, but closer. So we have shifted it to thinking through using intentional planning, using our social emotional learning competencies. The other area of responsive classroom that we focused on is the interactive modeling piece. So shifting our teaching of common area expectations from our older kind of PBIS format to an interactive modeling format, which is something that we've learned through responsive classroom. And then the next area, kind of student community involvement, we'll talk and give you an update on Bobcat Buddies, which we've talked about before. We do something called Student of the Month, and we want to share with you about our positive postcards that have been happening for 2 years. This is the start of the third year on that. So to start with, the components of morning meeting, our greeting, sharing, group activity, and morning message. And over to the right side, you'll see There's a link there, and if you can click on the link, it says the SEL indicators and the Fly 5 competencies. And we have used this document to help us intentionally plan for some of our morning meeting areas. And we're gonna give you some examples of that as we go through the presentation. And you can see there's tabs at the bottom that kind of have our focus, our competencies, learning target, and indicators for each grade level that we've been referring to. So if we can move back to the presentation. So right now we use something called ROARS at Hoagland School for our common area expectations, respectful, open-hearted, achiever, responsible, and safe. And we've been doing some work this year in making connections. This is professional development for our staff. How can we shift from ROARS to CARES going into 24-25? So we've been doing some work with what links do we see? How can we start using that common language with kids? And that acronym CARES comes from our Fly 5, which are social emotional curriculum. And then the interactive modeling, we have developed all those lesson plans as a tier, kind of a social emotional learning team. And we have used some professional development time to get feedback from our staff, really focusing in on common language that we're using among them, and making sure that everybody truly understands how interactive modeling works, and then identifying what are the staff responsibilities and what are the student responsibilities.
All right, so kind of kicking off back to that responsive classroom and looking at the 4 components of morning meeting. So our morning meeting starts with our greeting. This is kind of our kickoff for the day. You saw those SEL indicators. So this sometimes looks different in a kindergarten classroom versus a 3rd grade classroom. In just a minute, you'll get to see just a very short, quick clip with some 3rd graders at Hoagland as they engaged in their morning greeting. Some purpose behind that is just that self-awareness piece, building of self-confidence, getting the kids to kind of right from the beginning engage and build community, understanding how to get along with their peers, and demonstrating some of those social behaviors. So really quick, we'll take a look at our clip.
All right, go high five someone you have not greeted yet. Go find somebody else.
Getting them engaged, moving throughout the classroom, working with other students.
You want to tell them a little bit about some of the choices that the kids came up with to greet each other?
Yeah, so on this particular day, we were just doing kind of a quick greet. I took 3 students, they raised their hand and wanted to greet. One of them was turkey, which this is timely because you go up and one friend's the turkey feathers and the other one's the body, and you go and make a turkey. So we had turkey that morning. We had just fist bump, so go find somebody and fist bump them. They like to do make your own, so get to go like make a secret handshake is always very popular too. Those change daily. We have lots of different ways to quick do a greet. Sometimes it's a song. Not everybody gets into those, but we do in my room. So we like to engage in those songs and kind of launch in different ways.
So the next component of morning meeting that we do is called sharing. And you will see a kindergarten student there, and she is holding an object, and this indicates that it's her turn to share. And so other students should be listening as she is talking. And through sharing, you can see in blue some of our competencies that we've identified, and then some of the bullets on that we're really working on. It's difficult for our kids to share with confidence. They often share and really can't hear what they're saying. And so we're really working on developing some self-confidence, a willingness in some of our primary grades to even participate, or new students that come to us. We talked about self-management and control, learning how to wait until it is your turn, and wait quietly. And then just your controlling your body language and your gestures, and using an appropriate tone of voice, and communicating your thoughts, wants, and needs, and others, and ideas to each other.
So then that takes us into the group activity.
You want to do it? I hope you want me to.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, this is kindergarten. Do you know this one?
Nope.
Okay, I'll talk about it. So the group activity, this is one example of a group activity. And one of the things that the teacher had intentionally planned for is just some self-discipline and some self-motivation. And so like stay engaged, be persistent. And so the kindergartners were playing a game of Snatch. And it also connects to the Fly 5 lesson that kindergarten had recently focused on, and that's that idea of cooperation. So this is a kindergarten teacher, and she's playing the game of Snatch. What I want to tell you before we play the video is there is an old face mask, to be honest, with the straps cut off, so it's a little piece of fabric, and they are in 2 rows sitting across from a friend. And it sits in front of them, and the idea is to, when the teacher says the word snatch, they have to grab that before their friend. And they do it several times. So let's play the video.
Clap, snap, snap, clap, snap, slap, 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 snatch.
So you can see it's fun for kids, it's quick for kids, it gets them excited and motivated, and if somebody comes in a little bit bummed out, it definitely puts a smile on their face.
All right, so then you'll see a couple of different examples of that message component. Very different when you look at a kindergarten example versus a 3rd grade example. Our teachers have also taken a lot of creativity with how they present these. Sometimes it's digital, sometimes it's on a piece of poster paper. So with kindergarten, that day we see a content connection. They were focusing on their number and kind of giving them then that question that would be answered throughout their time as well. In the 3rd grade example, which we'll watch in just a minute, we were getting ready to go on our field trip the following day, so building in some of that anticipation, but also what the expectations were going to be as we headed into that field trip. When it comes to planning, we usually try to have some kind of focus days. It just makes planning go a lot easier, so we usually have like Math Mondays where they're greeted as mathematicians, or Fly 5 Fridays, and just kind of building in some of those ways of bringing in other content areas and making those important connections for them. In 3rd grade, we also added in, we've been working a lot with punctuation and capitalization. So you'll see them as they're reading, doing what's called a punctuation read. So as we see capital letters, they have an action. As they see punctuation, they have those actions as well. I believe they were choral reading.
And there is a video, Amy, it's on the words morning message 3rd grade.
Monday, November 6th, 2023. Hey, 3rd grade. Can you believe our field trip is tomorrow? When we are at the Science Center, we will be representing Hoagland Elementary. Monday, November 6th, 2023.
On repeat.
So just a way, we have different ways that we read it. Sometimes we pick out our robot voice or our alien voice, or just to kind of make that engaging and fun, and again, connected to the content in different areas.
That particular one had a lot of proper nouns.
There's a lot of capitalization there.
Yes, so this is interactive modeling. We teach our common area expectations in the actual locations where kids are learning and where we're wanting them to display the appropriate behavior. And so if we're doing recess expectations, we go to the playground. If we're doing lunchroom, which you'll see here, we go here. Bathroom, we do them at the bathroom, hallway in the hallway, and then of course our classroom ones are ongoing. We take time and we create a schedule that hopefully allows our paraeducators and our specialists, including ELL, title, XLP, those teachers, special ed teachers, to join us, because oftentimes those are the teachers that are actually doing the lunchroom duty, so they need to be a part of the teaching as well. And so we teach them at the beginning of the year, and then we also review and reteach them at the start of each quarter of school. So it's kind of an ongoing thing throughout the school year. So you'll see a picture there. You've got third grade, and you have Mr. Cutright. He's the PE teacher. He is on duty with third grade during their lunchtime, and so he is doing some of the interactive modeling as well. So if you click on Common Area Expectations Lunchroom, that should bring up a short video of that teaching.
Make sure you're being extra careful and not going too fast and spilling it, okay? Because when we get up here, we need to make sure it gets in the bucket nicely, okay? And after you guys put your stuff away, you guys walk over nicely and line up for recess. Are you guys ready? Okay, this table may go. Make sure you're being extra careful and not going too fast and spilling it.
And you can see lines on the floor, and we use those so they know kind of where to line up. That table right there was actually doing a modeling while the other students watched, and then the other students will have a chance to give some, what did you notice? What went well? What did you see the students doing that went well? And we go through that process of interactive modeling for each of the common areas.
Bobcat Buddies. All right, like Amy said, some of you already have kind of heard a little bit about Bobcat Buddies, but this is our third year implementing it. So we started 3 years ago really just to think of ways to build relationships across the school. Obviously, students have their teachers and staff like specialist teachers, but we wanted a way for kids to have more than just a few adults and to get to know the adults that are often seen, but not really, they don't have time to build those relationships. And so every kid has a champion adult is what we call them. And this is who their group is with each month. And so one adult will have 8 to 10 students from all different grade levels. And this is including classroom teachers, specialists, paraprofessionals, everybody. Every adult has a group. And it's a chance to have those relationships outside of class. So we'll leave notes on their desks and just say, hope you're having a great day. Can't wait to see you in a few days. Leave coloring sheets, etc. And students just really love it. It's just so cool to see those relationships being built outside of the classroom. I know it's made a difference for me as a teacher to see kindergartners that you're high-fiving in the hallway, and they just love it. And so, yeah, we have 8 to 10 students per group, and then each month we have about 30 minutes for Bobcat Buddies, and these include various activities, one that you'll see on in 2 slides, but they're all aligned with SEL indicators. So there's a purpose and a direction behind all of our activities and Fly 5 competencies. So yeah, that is basically the background of Bobcat Buddies. On the next slide, you'll see each month we have a theme. And like we said, we try to link them to SEL indicators as closely as we can. So last month, we just finished up gratitude, but we did Be a Bobcat last month where we just talked about community and how we're all part of Hoagland and Bobcats. And yeah, you can see all of the SEL indicators as well. We try and promote kindness, the reading month, Earth Day, and yeah, anything with those.
One thing to note too, this being our third year with Bobcat Buddies, we try really hard to keep that same champion for the kids as they go through. So now I've had some kids for 3 years, and I mean, we see each other all the time, and they call me their Bobcat Buddy, and I call them. I'll be like, hey, Bobcat Buddy, and it's just a really special connection that you have with those kids.
It really is. As a 4th grade teacher, it's really cool because I'm starting to see some of the students that I had like in kindergarten, and it's just so crazy how fast it goes. But just to have that relationship already, some years are tougher than others, so it's kind of cool to have those relationships with those students anyways. It really just helps everybody out. So on the next slide, you're going to see some examples of what we just did for Bobcat Buddies for the month of October.
So these are just, like I said, an example of some things that we do. So we try and do a SEL related like greeting, responsive classroom greeting in the morning of Bobcat Buddy. So we'll circle up, they'll greet each other just like we do for our morning meetings in their classrooms. And then we have an activity. So this one was just chain it up. So like I said, we wanted to have a theme of we are all Bobcats this month. And so we thought a chain would be really cool to show them that we're all linked together. And if the chain's broken, it doesn't work as well. So we're starting to display things up in our hallways, and the students have absolutely loved it. They all try and point and find theirs. And so, yeah, this was just writing about what it means to be a Bobcat, and then we displayed it together. So, yeah.
And that's in a hallway that every student travels down every single day if they're going to the lunchroom.
Yep.
Or the media center, or the music or art room.
Yeah.
So. All right, we'll keep going. Student of the month.
So Student of the Month has been going, do we even have how many years? Probably 6, 7?
A lot.
Let's go with that. So for about 6 or 7 years, it started with just as a way for us to kind of recognize some of those students kind of going above and beyond. It took a little bit of a break and kind of changed a little bit with COVID, but we're really excited this year. We've brought back being able to have families come back in, having that connection with their kiddos, getting to celebrate with their kiddos for a special breakfast. So getting to decorate some tables, getting to have that time. We also have staff members available if kiddos' parents aren't able to come, or families. So just getting to have that family connection and getting everybody to come together and celebrate those kids.
So Student of the Month is based on our roars. And so like September was, we were looking for somebody respectful. And October was probably maybe open-hearted. We probably go right in order. And then sometimes we have a mystery, something that we're not sure we know what we're looking for, but the kids have to just always kind of be demonstrating all of those areas. And we celebrate them. The teachers play a little presentation in their classrooms, so we see all of them from preschool through 4th grade who have been selected that month. And they love that. They're making connections. It's so-and-so's sibling, and they're in my Bobcat Buddy group. And then our teachers reach out to families and invite them to breakfast. But we have a special day that we do that in. And as you can see, we've got donuts, we got breakfast pizzas, we got all sorts of good stuff being brought in. And it's just quick. It happens between 8 o'clock and 8:20, and yeah, some special for them. And then our final slide is positive postcards. I don't know, this is probably 3 or 4 years that we have been doing positive postcards. And the expectation is to write 2 positive postcards to students and to staff each month. And we are just thinking of ways to acknowledge the great work that we see a child doing, acknowledge each other as staff, and just show gratitude and thanks for the people that we work with on the regular basis. And the student ones we mail, and so they're just kind of kept and brought over. And then the staff ones we just put in their little mailbox, or we hand deliver them. And we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from our parents. And I know receiving them, writing them feels great, because sometimes we just don't take time to stop and do that. I think we do a lot of verbal to each other, but to actually stop and really think about what that person has done for me or means to me in supporting me or students through different times. It's just nice to take the time to write it down, and it doesn't take much time, and it feels great, and then it also feels really great to receive them. So, questions that you guys have for us?
No, it's nice. So you said you've got nearly everyone trained now in a responsive classroom. That's good.
Getting there.
Getting there.
A few.
So is that helping it go more smoothly?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to do some embedded learning for sure.
And how do you feel like that's changed, you know, for the classroom teachers, how that's changed your day with the responsive classroom? What's the impact in your room? Yeah, so this is my second year. I was able to be trained in the fall of last year. And so kind of going into my second year of getting to implement it, first of all, I just love starting my day like that. It's such a positive and calming way to start our day, and getting to build those connections instead of just having to jump straight into content and, you know, hitting it right away. Getting to have that time with them and building those relationships has been huge. I also find it's helping me stay calm in stressful situations. I'm able to kind of take on some of that learning as well. If like our focus is right now, we're working on what's a deep breathing strategy that we could try if we focus on, or if we face something that's stressful today, how could we handle that? Then there'll be times where then I get to model that with the kids based on our conversation that morning, believe it or not. But so it's helped to build those relationships, helped to, I feel like, make me a more intentional, calm, engaged teacher.
Yeah, I would say the same. Starting off the day with morning meeting and being more intentional behind it, like Hannah said, is really important. I think some days when you start, it's just like, you know, you have a lot thrown at you right away and it's easy to just dive right in, but super intentional with like, how are we going to start our day? It's been a really great relationship building and creates a really good positive culture for our classrooms and school.
And sometimes when students come in a funk, it just 20 minutes of maybe sitting and not really wanting to participate, but then we do this hilarious group
Snatch,
activity,
yeah.
snatch, and pretty soon they're laughing and having fun, and they're able to kind of put aside whatever it was that was bothering them when they walked in the door, or to just be greeted by, you know, a classmate or a friend, and the other adults that are in the room and included as well. It's made a great difference.
We all look forward to that time.
We
of day.
do.
And we've started closing circle as well. So the last 5 minutes of the day to kind of come back together, kind of have that connection time as well before we head out. So
We'll be visiting on Tuesday the
December.
19th.
And you will see morning meeting, and you will see Bobcat Buddies. So we're super excited for you to come and visit and check out some of the great things that are happening at Hope.
have your singing voices ready. 'Cause you're joining us for some of us.
There'll be an influx of them in my room compared to yours.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Tara?
Feel free to grab that mic there.
I can share ours too. Hello, Tara Gray, the FFA advisor here at the high school. We're here just to give a brief overview on our national FFA trip. We did go to this in Indianapolis at the beginning of November. We took 6 students out with us. They had extracurricular practice tonight, so not all of them could be here. But I did bring our lovely, one of our co-presidents with me, so I'll let her talk about it. We didn't post or create a PowerPoint to see, but if you saw the overall district Facebook page, Abby did a wonderful job with some of the pictures that the students took themselves from the trip, or that I took. We also, Quinn Eastman, who is our reporter, and myself, we were updating our Marshalltown FFA Facebook page every day that we went to with some individual pictures. But I'll have Lydia here talk a little bit about our trip, where we went, and some experiences that she had while on the trip.
So on our way to Indianapolis, we stopped at the Fair Oaks Farm, which is a dairy farm with pigs.
Mm-hmm.
They bred pigs. So it was really interesting to see where we got our dairy from and how like cattle and stuff were kept. After that, we got to Indianapolis and we went to the national convention, and we went to the meeting, which is the big giant
Lucas
meeting.
Oil Stadium.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was cool. And we walked around and saw different colleges and different agricultural opportunities with that. But there was over 72,000 people there.
Yeah, they broke records this year. I believe we were 4 short of 73,000. So yeah, that was nice and interesting. Big sea of blue everywhere.
And then on our way back, we went to a couple more tours. The first one we went to was the Louisville Sluggers factory, so we got to see how they made baseball bats. And then everybody got a free mini bat, so that was pretty cool. After that, we went to Churchill Downs, which was my favorite, so we got to learn about the history of the horse race track and how the sand they use on the track affects how the horse runs. And after that, we went to the Muhammad Ali Center, which is a lot about leadership and how he paved a way for a lot of things.
And then your entertainment when we were at the conventional in Indianapolis that night.
Oh, yes. We went to a rodeo, which 5 out of the 6 members have never gone to a rodeo before, so that was interesting to see their reactions.
Yeah. It was a good trip overall. I tried to pick something that everyone would have an interest in or like. So we had a former softball player on the team, so she really liked the slugger piece. Churchill Down was for Lydia because she is very into horses. On top of that, I feel like it was a lot of these students actually was their first time out of state to go to something like this as well. So overall, a good trip. We fit in as much as we possibly could within 3 days time frame. So it was busy. Yeah, I think they all kind of got overwhelmed with how many jackets were there. In fact, one of them was like, I think you just planned the same tour as all the other FFA members because everywhere we went, there was an FFA chapter. I was like, no, you don't understand. There's 73,000 of you just roaming around and we have to fit this in. So.
Was Muhammad Ali Center, was that in Indianapolis or where was that?
That was in Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
Actually, it's like 4 blocks from Louisville Sluggers.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're all kind of right there. And we could just kind of walk and travel. Poor planning on my time. I didn't realize that Churchill Down next year is celebrating a big anniversary. So it wasn't the full tour that it normally is because they are already started renovating for the Kentucky Derby for next year. So they talked about that as well.
Lucas Oil Field designed by Bobcat.
And we got to see in Lucas Oil Stadium, they had obviously some people from the political side. So former Governor Al Gore was there talking to us. And then we had a guest speaker, Juan, I forget his last name now. Juan was talking to us as well. And so that was really interesting to hear his side of the story. But yeah, the rodeo was surprisingly, I think, one of their favorite things and I didn't realize it until we got there, but 5 of the 6 said they had never been to a rodeo, and I kind of thought that would be a typical Iowa thing to do. But that's what they chose. We could have chose that or the concert, and the kids all wanted to go to the rodeo, which is only put on by FFA. So you had to have your FFA badge said that you paid or a member, and then the tickets were available to you to go.
Excellent.
Yeah. And Lydia, what was beyond Churchill Down? So what was one of your favorite things?
I really liked getting to know each of the FFA members on our officer team a lot more. I feel like I got a lot closer to a lot of them. So that was nice. That was probably my favorite part, honestly.
Yeah, we were cramped in a van for a long time. A long time.
You really get to know each other.
Right, yes, yes. Yes. Their music choice is very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, thanks for coming back
Thank
and
you.
sharing.
Yep.
Reporting back. Awesome. Sounds like a great trip. Nice.
Eric?
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for entertaining our request to go on an out-of-state field trip. I believe since I've been at MLA, this is our first such request, but we have a unique opportunity to do something kind of fun and amazing that has some connections to some work in the curriculum that we're doing. To my immediate left is Amy Jones, and Katie Mummert is on the end of the table. They're both outstanding educators at our school, and they spearheaded this project, and we are stepping up to do kind of a innovative capstone to the work they're going to do. So I'll turn it over to them.
So you can go to the next slide. There's only 3. So this trip request to go to Chicago to see Hamilton on Broadway is a direct extension of a seminar that we're doing with ELA and kind of history. Seminars are just student interest-based learning experiences for kids, specifically for English. I usually host about 4 a year. And we chose Hamilton because it's really popular, and we thought, well, the kids will think that's cool. And through kind of planning that, we realized, like, wow, it actually creates this real, like, bridge between the work that they're doing and these texts that they are usually not excited to read, like the Federalist Papers. So usually we're twisting arms to get them to read it, but hopefully this way it'll create kind of a more authentic bridge for them. And then it also humanizes these historical figures like Alexander Hamilton and George Washington, besides the people we see on money. So you can go to the next slide. So the more curricular connection, the project, essentially the students will read Hamilton and study that. And then they are tasked with choosing a historical figure from the musical. And then they are put into the role of a public relations professional. And they have to study how the media presented then and currently their character in history. And then socially and politically, how did people view them then and now? And then come up with an action plan for how they would improve their reputation or make them seem more knowledgeable, more professional. Kind of depends on who they choose. So it puts them in an authentic career role, and it gets them seeing that, oh my gosh, I would use critical reading and independent research skills and argumentative writing. I'm going to use that in the world. The bonus for us as English and history, Amy's our special ed teacher, but she has an extensive past in history, is that the kids are going to be exposed to, obviously, the Federalist Papers, which are in our government curriculums right now, but they're also going to be looking at about 10 texts that are usually in AP US history classes in their Unit 3 curriculum, talking about the Revolutionary War. So it's exciting. It targets a lot of standards for ELA and for history and government and all of that. But we also think it's important to recognize that this would create kind of a life experience for a lot of our students. I can't think of a single one who's ever seen a Broadway musical before, and many of them have not been to Chicago. So yes, the curricular value is there, which I think we could talk about for 900 years, but it's also really exciting to get our kids out into the world, like out of Iowa, and getting to do something fun. That's it. That's all I have. The end.
When is the trip planned for?
January 17th.
Okay.
Legitimate question, do you need a bus driver?
I'll do it.
You have your CDL?
I'll get it.
There's a long line of willing chaperones.
How are the expenses being handled for the trip?
Students are going to have a small buy-in on the tickets, mostly to assure they're going to show up. So we're not going to make it to a place that it's unaffordable for anybody. Over the last couple years, Randy pushed budgets out to it recently. I have not been spending my cell tower allocation. And we have money in our cell tower allocation to do the vast majority of this trip. So, which is nice, because when we did the cell tower thing years ago, that's how the board wanted us to spend that money,
Right.
was on these kinds of
Student
experiences. So,
activities. Yep.
Is this a one-day trip? Or stay overnight?
yes, one day.
Just one day?
No, overnight.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
So what time will you have to take off in the morning? It's a one-day trip.
Like, I think the show is 2:30,
okay.
1:30. So
Okay.
we'd probably
Okay.
leave. The plan right now is we'd leave maybe 6 and then obviously stop, get some food and stuff, and then go to the show, get back on the road, stop, get some food, and then make it back.
And our weather backup date is the Wednesday following,
Okay.
just in
Okay.
case we have. If we talk about it, then it won't happen, right?
If you plan for it, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, I actually love the tie-in between the experience and the arts and English and history and government. And even the whole idea of the difference in the reputations back then and now and how they're perceived. I think they're going to find that fascinating.
Yeah, I think English teachers really, one of the hills that we will die on is that things like Shakespeare are meant to be seen and not so much read. And I think that's the same with this. It's actually going to fall right in the middle of, we'll have read, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 texts at that point, including the Federalist Papers. And then they'll go and then they'll come back and continue their work. So hopefully this will make it all come together and it'll all seem cohesive, deep in their understanding.
Will you view the production before you go?
Yes. Yeah. So I love watching videos and showing them, you know, like live performances of, I do another music-based seminar. And I think it makes it more real and with the style of the music, if you're not familiar with Hamilton, it's pretty fast-paced, the lyrics, in almost a rap fashion. So I think they need to have
Be able to familiar with
deeper
You
look at the
need to
lyrics and
show
things.
it with captions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then go see it.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it falls in the, I checked with the theater, it falls in the PG, in between PG and PG-13 realm, so we're kind of, we're not in a bad place there, at least.
Do you have any kind of feel for how many students are interested in going, or did you wait till you got approval?
We
and
did,
then
we
you're
have,
gonna-
we got posters ready to put up tomorrow, but we haven't put anything up or told the kids. My sense is we'll probably try to take about 30 students and 5 to 6 chaperones, so.
We usually average about, I don't know, 15 students in traditional seminars. And I think this will be, they'll be way more excited about this than of Mice and Men. So I think more will sign up.
And to be fair, they're not wrong.
Yeah,
but-
but more will sign up for this hopefully, so, yeah.
Any other questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the out-of-state field trip to Chicago, Illinois on January 17, 2024 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
McGinnis, Hernandez, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Thank you.
Tell us how it goes.
Yeah. I made it on Canva, and if you look really carefully at their faces, like especially on the opening slide, the AI generator makes the pictures, and so some of their faces look like they've been melted or something. There's extra hands sticking out.
Oh, gosh.
Little Easter eggs.
You ready, Giselle?
Oh, I see.
I think Natalie was joining us online possibly.
Hi, Natalie.
Can you hear us, Natalie?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No.
Okay. I don't know who, Giselle's ready to start or whoever's starting, so.
Okay, this year state esports was hosted at the MCSD Orpheum, and as you can see on the picture, it says "Welcome to the state showdown." And on the right is another picture of the games that they were playing. Some of the games that they played were like commonly known, like Smash Bros, which what I thought was really neat to see. You can go to the next slide. So on this slide in the middle, you can see kind of how Marshalltown has had like a lot of influence in esports recently, and it was really cool to see kind of how we're growing as a community and expanding in that area. On the left, you can see this student that's taking video and photography, and that's just a student in Mrs. Harmson's class that's also been taking videos and really highlighting um, neat stuff that's happening in the community.
And this past Thursday, 3 out of 4 of us, so me, Deanna, and Natalie went to the IASBS convention with Dr. Shudi. It was me and Diana's first year attending, so I personally thought that it was a great experience, and it was a brand new setting that I was in, and I thought it was really cool to be able to see what like student boards do and like where sorry guys and like what they try to learn and get from any of these like conventions that they go to and stuff like that. And yeah.
For me personally, it was a really good experience. Go back and kind of reflect on my experience the previous year and the second year. I always really enjoyed the workshops just because I feel like you can learn a lot about other schools through discussion and how to implement those new things into your school.
And then lastly, National Honor Society is hosting a bake sale by the main stairs at MHS. Everything is $1. And some baked goods that they are selling are like puppy chow, chai cookies, brownies, and there's even more. So it's going on tomorrow too. So if you guys have any children at MHS, you can tell them to stop by. During and after 7th period. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Go. Okay. So the next 2 items on the agenda are annual requests that we have at this time of year for the board. If you recall at the last meeting, we had brought forth a school budget review committee or SBRC request for additional spending authority for our River Hills Consortium. What's before you tonight are 2 of the 3 allowable SBRC requests that are submitted by the Department of Ed each year as part of a class action submission to the SBRC. So this year, we are able to submit requests for additional spending authority for current year open enrolled out students that were not on our prior year head count and cost providing instruction to English language learners beyond 5 years. Let me pull, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the open enrollment out request in front of you tonight is for $521,420.68. Excuse me, while the instruction for EL instruction beyond 5 years is $943,663.50. Again, this is for spending authority, so it's not actual cash that we're asking to request or levy taxes for. This is just giving us the spending authority within our general fund. So that sums up the next 2 items. I will field any questions if there are any at this time.
Can
can you remind me the open and roll out? So this is for students who had, remind us what that is.
So basically, it's students that are open enrolled out this year that weren't open enrolled out last year.
Okay.
And there's 67 of them?
67.1 students, yes.
Other questions? Those wouldn't necessarily be students who
Yeah.
attended Marshalltown last year.
Correct, yeah, there's a variety of factors. I can pull up real quick. I think our actual open enrollment out numbers went down.
Right.
So yeah, it's just how, it could just be students that have moved and, yep.
They weren't on our
Just
count.
weren't on our account last year, right?
Okay.
Any other questions for Randy about either one of those two items?
So we have 76 kids in intensive ELA that have been here for 5 years?
Sorry,
Or LEP, I guess.
Yeah, the system kicked me out. I gotta log back in. I'll pull up the number of students here shortly, but yeah, with our demographics, this has been a fairly common request. It's been roughly around 900,000 in spending authority that we've requested each year for the last several years. But yeah, it's let's see.
So
here.
have they been with us the whole 5 years?
That I don't see that level of detail. That I can't answer that at this time.
I'm just curious about that.
But yeah, the total is basically 570 students because the EL doesn't get a full 1.0 weighting assigned to it. So for the intermediate, there's a 0.21 weighting assigned to it, and then the intensive, there's a 0.26. So based off of the state counts, 494 were at that intermediate 0.21 weighting, while 76 were at that 0.26 intensive weighting.
Okay, with these. Okay, just interesting. All right.
Any other questions? Then we need a motion to approve the request to the School Budget Review Committee for modified supplemental amount of $521,420.68 for open enrolled out students not included in the previous year enrollment count as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Lowry, Faltus, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. And then we need a motion to approve a request to the School Budget Review Committee for modified supplemental amount of $943,663.50 for English language learning programs, students beyond 5 years of waiting, as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Stanley, Lowry, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Dr. Schutte, are you going?
Yeah, the next item is, as we've headed into the school year, as it relates to the ESSER funds that the federal government has provided the district from 2020 to June 30th of 2024, we've worked really hard at being strategic about how those funds are directed, as well as to try to have access to those funding streams throughout the duration of the money's availability. Within some districts, districts got various amounts of federal funding based on their student population and demographics, and some of them, right out of the chute, spent everything on improving their HVAC systems, for example, with the exception of what had to be used for learning loss. And we really worked really hard to take a balanced approach to take care of some of those infrastructure things, but to really focus on teaching and learning, accelerated learning, trying to make up for any learning loss and or achievement gaps that continued to exist or were accelerated during the challenging time over a year or two there. And then also to help support our staff directly. And so, as you'll recall, each of the last 2 years, we've tried to provide a stipend for staff of some degree or another. We still are experiencing challenges as far as staffing goes and filling all of our positions. And as long as that occurs and we have a shortage of substitutes, we're continually asking people to do more with their time and to help out and to cover during their free time or their planning time and that sort of thing. So this will be the last time that we're in a position to make such a gesture to our staff, but we're recommending that we issue here in December, prior to the holidays, that each member gets the equivalent of a 1 day per diem.
November. We're going to do it in November.
We're going to do it in November, so they have it by
Correct.
December. A 1 day per diem to support them in lieu of the extra work everybody's been doing. The remainder of the funds will be used predominantly for continued technology support that we have, as well as for teaching and learning support to curriculum and support in that arena.
How long do we have to use the ESSER funds? When does that?
Till
June
June
30th.
30th.
Of this year?
Yep,
Yep, 24.
And how much do we have left?
700,000 approximately.
Estimated cost of this per diem is 212, so we'd
Yeah.
be down to roughly 500,000 after that.
And that's taking, when we say 700,000, that's taking into account the ongoing funding and support for things that we had been doing and
Yeah.
continuing through this year.
Other questions? Then is there a motion to approve the COVID-19 stipend proposal using ESSER funds as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Lowry, Faltus, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Board policies.
We only had one policy coming back for first reading, and that is 605.08, accountability, test integrity, and test preparation. As you recall from the last meeting, the primary adjustment to this was for some time now, we have not been reliant on physical print materials, but the test is taken virtually, so we changed the language in this policy to reflect that. And so I would recommend approving this first reading of the policy and waiving the second reading.
Any questions? Then we need a motion to amend 605.08 and waive the second reading.
Move for approval.
Second.
Faltus, Hernandez, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, and then I had the initial review policies, 606.03, personal animals in the school. There's just a minor change in the title, so we're recommending that one be marked as reviewed. 606.5, student field trips and excursions. There's a couple of changes to remove pupils or change pupils to students, because pupil seems sort of old-fashioned, I guess. And then to add a written parental permission to paragraph 4. And then those are relatively minor changes, so the recommendation is to mark it as reviewed unless people want to have that come back. Sounds like we're okay. 605 or 606.5R1, same update from pupils to students, and again, recommend that one be marked as reviewed. 606.5R2, no changes recommended, that one can be marked as reviewed. 606.6, insufficient classroom space, same, no changes recommended. We can mark that as reviewed. And then 6073, community agency partnerships, no recommended changes, and we can mark that one as reviewed. So yeah, no policies coming back for first readings next time.
Nice job.
Just everybody's got to do their part.
And thank you.
All right, Randy, the annual settlement.
Yes, so this information was shared with the board back in October, I believe. This was the final depository fund balances as of June 30th, 2023 that was filed with our certified annual report. Our auditors completed their audit back last week of October. So these balances have been reviewed by the auditors as well, and per Iowa code, as one of the last outgoing items of the current board, this is one of the final items that we need you to take care of and approve.
Any questions for Randy? Then we need a motion to approve the treasurer's annual settlement as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Lowry McGinnis, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. And then we need to do our annual appointments, appointing Randy Denham as board secretary and treasurer for the 23-24 school year, and appointing Allers and Cooney as legal counsel for the 23-24 school year. And I assume, Randy, those can be done in one motion?
Yes, sir.
Move for approval.
Second.
Faltus Stanley, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0.
Swear me in.
Oh. Wait, do we have to stand, or is it a sit-down job? or
You know,
what do
if
we
you
do?
want to stretch your legs, we can do that. Let's do that.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the offices of Secretary and Treasurer in the Marshalltown Community School District as now or hereafter required by law?
I do.
Congratulations.
Oh, we're going to flip the script here in just a second. You guys, just hold on. I expect a hype video and pyro then the next meeting.
Wow.
Anyway, sorry. Now that the formalities are out of the way. Okay. I will review the November 7th election results. I did receive the official abstract from the county auditor this morning. So the official vote tallies for the November 7th election were as follows. Maria Morales with 1,343 votes. Sean Heitman, 1,347 votes. Elizabeth Wise, 1,377 votes. Sarah Faltis, 1,263 votes. And then there were 37 scattering votes. Therefore, it is officially that Maria Morales, Sean Heitman, Elizabeth Wise, and Sarah Faltis are each elected for a term of 4 years to the Marshalltown Community School Board.
You can't back out now, guys.
I haven't sworn them in yet.
Oh. I guess there's still time.
There's still time. How do we want to let everybody switch around, or how do you want to do this before?
Yeah, that's it. Jan,
That's
Bonnie?
it.
All right. Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.
I mean, you don't have to leave, but you do need to get out of those chairs.
You don't have to leave,
Don't have to
Thank
leave.
you.
but you can't stay here.
It was fun.
Maria? Elizabeth?
Bring your stuff, you're
Please
saying.
join us.
We have to do it too, don't we?
Yeah, you get sworn in again.
too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't have to leave the table.
No, I get to do
So do
this
we
now.
want everybody in front, or?
Where do you want to?
do you want us?
Swear us in,
You're in
Randy.
charge right now, Randy.
I know, so I will now call the organizational meeting of the new board to order. So at this time, yes, I will ask all 4 board members to stand up here. And I have presents for all of you. Sarah?
Thank you. Presents.
Presents, Elizabeth? Dawn?
I'm familiar with these presents.
All right, so at this time, you all get to raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of school board member in Marshalltown Community School District as now or hereafter required by law?
I do.
All right, you guys are official. All right. So at this time, I will open it up. Are there any nominations for board president for the 23-24 school year on the table?
I nominate Sean Heitman for board president.
I have one nomination for Sean Heitman. Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Sean.
Okay. All right. At this time, I will take a motion to elect Sean Heitman as board president for the 23-24 school year.
Move to approve. Can I
Second.
approve my own nomination?
Faltis Stanley, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
I'm going to abstain just because it seems like the.
You are okay with this?
Fair
right?
enough.
If I could move to approve my own.
What is it, Faltis Stanley? Okay, one more time. I don't know. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of board president in Marshalltown Community School District as now or hereafter required by law?
I do.
All right, I will give up the gavel.
And then are there nominations for board vice president for the 23-24 school year?
I nominate Sarah Fultis to be vice president.
Sarah Faltis is nominated. Are there other nominations?
I nominate Sarah Faltis.
And is there a motion to approve Sarah Faltis as vice president?
Move to approve.
Second.
Stanley Hernandez, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
I'll abstain.
Motion carries 5-0 with 1 abstention. Sarah, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of Vice President in the Marshalltown Community School District as now or hereafter required by law?
I do.
Congratulations. Okay, and then your, I guess, third official act as school board members will be on this resolution appointing the paying agent, bond registrar, and transfer agent. That's what's next on mine. Oh, I skipped committees.
I skipped committees. Okay.
I skipped committees. There are a number of board committees that you will now have the privilege of serving on. I will send, we need to make a minor revision to the list of committees, but I will send you guys, everybody, the list of committees to remind us all what they are. And then we'll appoint people to those committees at the next meeting. So review that, send me an email with your top 2 or 3 committee choices. And then I can't promise you you're going to get everything that you want, but you'll get some of what you want.
Sounds good.
The adjustment essentially will be, we'll probably drop MBA off, and we're gonna add a district attendance committee, which will get started at least by the new year, if not before. As you know, we've got building-based attendance committees, and then we'll try to get representation from each building, plus we'd like to have 1 or 2 board members on that committee as well, that will probably meet quarterly, I would think, so.
Questions about committees or anything, guys?
Do we need to resubmit, or do we stay on the committees we're on?
Do you, Are the committees that you're currently on the ones that you would like to be on?
I'll just send you an email.
Because if they are, then no, you don't need to send me another email. But, okay, now your resolution.
Yes, so this is the official resolution appointing the paying agent, bond registrar, and transfer agent. Basically, the next formal step for our $13 million in sales tax revenue bonds for our high school CTE and tornado safe room projects that we've had several recent board action items on. Typically, this would have been on the old board agenda, but since the paperwork from the attorneys listed you lovely ladies as the paperwork, we decided to do it now because there are timelines where this has to be taken care of before the end of November.
Any questions for Randy? Then is there a motion approving the resolution appointing paying agent, bond registrar, and transfer agent as presented?
Move to approve.
Second.
Faltus Hernandez, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, reminders. Leah, you have initial review policies for the December 4th meeting.
Okay.
And Anson will be presenting at that meeting. There's some committee meetings coming up, although it doesn't look like there's anything really till December. So we should be okay getting new members on committees ahead of those. Internal communications met last Friday. Dr. Schutte, anything?
Nor you want to speak to that since we only had a handful of topics, most of which
Yeah,
were
it was
HR or curriculum or PD, I think,
It was a
related.
very short agenda.
Yeah, and we did decide to have our meetings every other month instead of monthly unless something comes up, just due to the lack of topics, which is usually a really good and positive thing. We mostly talked about starting the research to come up with a plan for more consistency with sub-plans for our teachers, creating substitute plans that are a little bit more consistent across the district so substitutes know what they're walking into. And that was kind of the main topic of conversation.
Some conversation about recruitment trips to try to fill more positions with diversity.
Yeah, I've been looking into, the MEA has asked me if I am going, well, they kind of recommended that I go out of state to try to recruit teachers to come to Iowa. And so I did some quick research and I briefly discussed how the University of Texas might be a good option because they have a teacher career fair, they have large enrollment, and they have a Spanish, like a bilingual teacher program entirely there. And then also the day before their teacher career fair, they have a meet and greet that are for out-of-state school districts. So that might be something that we try. I've never traveled out of state. So it might be something that we, give it a shot this year to see if I can be successful in using my persuasive ways to bring people to the wonderful city of Marshalltown. So we talked about that, and no decision has been made, but they seem to be interested in me trying that. I think that was pretty much it.
Thanks, Dr. Ryan. Are there any items anybody'd like considered for a future agenda? Then, what have we done this evening to improve?
You want to talk about ISB a little bit?
Oh, we can. Can I ask a question? When is this closed session supposed to start? Like, is there a time when?
I think.
It says 7:40 in the agenda.
Yeah.
And nobody's here.
Oh, it's a 30-minute break.
Then, yeah, let's talk about ISB for a little bit.
Nora, if you want to come up, you're welcome to, since you attended one day of ISB, and Giselle, you can come up to the front too.
Sean, I can share a little bit about the trip I went on as well.
Oh, okay.
To Indiana.
Okay. So I'll go first. Just of the things that I went to, I thought, I mean, the one thing that I took from the opening speaker on Thursday was just his statement, or I don't know if it was his or if he got it someplace else, that schools can't be everything for everyone, but they have to be something for everyone, which I thought was, yeah, that makes sense. We got to have something for everybody. And then I went to the Charles City School District. They had a presentation on strategic planning. It was sort of a hybrid talk about strategic planning and then a pitch from a software provider that can help you better manage your strategic plan. So that was
there's that.
that was fine, but there was some good stuff in there. Like we're engaging in updating our strategic plan, right? So they talked about making sure that there's a connection, ensuring a connection between the plan, board policy, and your board agenda, right? And making sure that your plan is manageable, right? Which maybe means you don't have 5 or 6 strategic areas, but you have 3 strategic areas that you're trying to focus on. Making sure that there is reporting and accountability for the plan and for achieving the goal set forth in the plan. And then making sure that it's a living document, that it's not, we don't do this thing and we don't, like, you can adjust it, right? If you meet the objectives that you set for yourself, you can change those, right? You're not stuck with them. And then the other one I went to was a presentation on telling your story and passing a bond referendum, which I thought was probably a timely thing to attend. And I haven't looked through the proposals that we have from architects, but my understanding is that part of that is they help with that. But the big thing that they talked about, the big thing that they pushed or talked about was a vote yes committee, like a citizens vote yes committee, because board members can't advocate for passing a bond referendum. We can talk about how we got to this point, like the facility needs, how we identified what we needed to do, the planning stages, but we can't advocate for voting yes.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That is good to know.
Yeah. So having a good committee that can advocate for your schools and for what you're trying to accomplish is important. And then just getting out in front and talking about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and being as open and as transparent about that communication as you can. And reaching out to anybody and everybody that will have somebody come talk to them about it. And then the last one I went to was Spencer School's presentation on mental health. And they're partnering with this classroom clinic to do like remote or telehealth counseling of students at school. So that was interesting, Matt. I've got some, maybe you know about these guys, I've got some stuff I can share with you. So that was it for me. Who wants to go next? Dr. Shu, you want to go next?
Yeah. So on Wednesday, I had the opportunity to attend each of the pre-conference sessions, keynote type sessions. The one being Fuel for Leadership and the other, It's All About Trust, developing and balancing school board superintendent team trust. And the thing that I felt like was a constant theme through most of the convention was trying to address and or work through some of this division that's been created with the political climate over the last 3 or 4 years. And so as I listened to many of these presenters, I was just thankful that we have not experienced a lot of that. Not that there hasn't been some disagreements between community and board decisions from time to time, but it's been relatively small compared to what we see happening, you know, in the suburban Des Moines area and other areas of the state. And so that just was a real constant theme. So I felt very good about where we're at as board superintendent team, working together and knowing that at times we may disagree, individual board members may disagree, but we can agree to disagree and then move forward beyond, you know, ultimately that decision. The keynote, which I really liked, was the morning keynote, Ravi Tusiling, and his topic was Pivot, Empowering Students Today to Succeed in an Unpredictable Tomorrow. So he talked about how, you know, in the near future, about 40% of the existing jobs today will become robotic or automized because of the staff shortages largely, and then how as many as 65% of the jobs that our kids who will be graduating here in the near future will be assuming aren't even necessarily existing today. And so he talked a lot about how we need to do a lot of different things as public schools, building cross-cultural networks, creating global opportunities, adapting to changing personnel and professional circumstances. He kind of caught all of our attentions right out of the chute because he actually was the lead guitarist for Hanson, the rock group Hanson, years ago.
I was gonna say that was the most important takeaway.
And,
Awesome. That's hilarious.
but he used his own story about, you know, he grew up, that's what he wanted to do. He accomplished it within like a whirlwind year. You know, they went as big as you can possibly go, and then about as quick as they were big, they were kind of irrelevant because of what happened with Napster and the internet and all of that. So, and then he talked about how he himself, who didn't really wish to get a four-year college degree, you know, chose to pivot and to find things that he was passionate about and learn about the things like becoming a pilot, for example, was one thing. And so he talked, the quote Sean gave, I think, was from his keynote actually, about not being everything for everyone. And so I had the opportunity to speak. He stayed for the entire day, even though he was the opening keynote, and just made himself available for people to talk to. And so I spoke with him quite a bit. And then also invited to have some follow-up conversation to see if he may be a good fit to bring in to speak with kids here in Marshtown, as well as our employees in the community too. And he seemed generally excited, especially when he heard of our demographics and that sort of thing. So I went ahead and ordered his book, Pivot, which was sold out before I could even get down to the bookstore for the board to do a book study on. And the other thing, I went to some other sessions as well. The other thing that was really touching to me, I went to his follow-up session after the keynote, as did Deanna, and about midway, that session had exhibited the kind of dissension that exists in the political climate. We had some people standing up on both sides of some of the issues that have been thrown out there, especially as it relates to equity, and taking very strong positions on both sides. And so she was able to kind of see that in action. And then she actually took the initiative to raise her hand as a student school board rep and ask a question of Ravi about, essentially she was asking, which kind of was heart-tugging actually. She said, you know, in our school, you know, our teachers feel like they've got deep relationships with the students, but in essence, it doesn't feel like we have the kind of voice to really truly tell them, you know, what we feel and how we feel about things and this sort of thing. And so, you know, I obviously praised her, as did many others, for her willingness to share that feeling. And then talked with her personally about a couple different avenues we can go to help have that discussion at the high school with administration to try to figure out how best to move that forward. And I felt too that it was really reflective of some of the data that we've been receiving with surveys, because like with conditions of learning, oftentimes our employees perceive the relationship they have with their kids being much stronger than our kids perceive the relationship being. So there's potentially a unpurposeful disconnect there that we need to try to investigate and work through. The other thing that I thought was really beneficial, I'm not usually, I don't like to spend a lot of time in the vendor hall just because I've been around long enough that a lot of people try to suck my time. But on this occasion, all 8 of the architects who bid on our project had a booth there. So 5 of the 8 I wasn't as familiar with, so I made a point of going and introducing myself and having a little bit of conversation with them, especially those that had Bobcat roots or Marshalltown roots, to get to know them a little bit better and to see how they related and communicated. So I felt like that was really well worth the time, both at Wednesday's social time that we had, most of them were there, and then who I didn't see there, I tried to catch them shortly after lunch when we had about an hour before the next session.
Who wants to go next?
I'll wait until the end and talk about what I did instead.
Sarah?
I don't have much more to add because the 3 sessions that I ended up being able to go to, Dr. Schutte was there as well, and he obviously summed it up very well. And I have to say my favorite was obviously Robbie on Thursday morning. He had so much energy, so I'm very excited that you want to bring him and that we will do his book study. I'm very excited about that. I think that's a great choice.
I also have nothing to add. You covered it.
Wait a minute, hold on. Speaking of the vendor fair, Nora won 2 raffles.
What?
You could only enter
Yeah.
once.
Well, I would like to note that I never put my name in more than once. It was like the vendors, they had put your business card here and win this. So I'm sure I'm gonna get inundated with emails. But I did win 2 raffles.
What did you get, Nora?
I got a massive holiday basket that had about $200 worth of stuff. And then I won a Target gift card that I haven't spoken to Randy yet, but I do want to give that away at the next all-staff event.
Aw.
Assuming that that's going to be okay since we didn't purchase it. Can I? No? Okay. Well, the intention was pure.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Well,
Anyway,
guess you're
so
going to
yeah, I was
Target.
very lucky. And I really, everyone kept saying I should have bought a lottery ticket that day because there were probably, 400 people there?
Yeah.
And I won twice, and I did not cheat. I want that noted. Promise.
Karina?
I also attended, I just attended Wednesday with Dr. Schutte and Sarah, so not much to say, but I did get a lot from the Fuel for Leadership. I think there was a lot of clarity about agendas and how other board members do their agenda, and how it was nice to see that we are very transparent with our agendas. So it made me proud of our district to do that. I also got a lot from the guy presenting, and I don't remember his name, but the way he presented was very comfortable, where he started with a story, and I'm just thinking to my head, why is he saying this? But then he went back to it, and then you can reflect on what we were learning and why he said it. So he eased us into learning about leadership, and I connected with, I'm part of Leadership Marshalltown, so I connected with a lot of what he was talking about to what I'm learning in Leadership Marshalltown. And really what I took out of it is our focus and what our board should be focused on, and what are some of the things that we need to be doing to continue to be focused. And then our superpower is to inspire. So I really wrote that down, and I think that's something that I will start doing more, is really to inspire and really thanking people for coming up or showing up or even making a difference in our district.
For me, to piggyback off of basically what all of you guys are saying, the speaker, Ravi, he was definitely one of the one of my most favorite speakers of all time. I was definitely really intrigued in what he had to say, and I was in the zone, my full attention, he had it. And I liked how you are trying to bring him here, because I feel like if I liked it that much, I feel like a lot of other students will also really enjoy listening to what he has to say.
Did you look up the band Hanson?
Forgot. She wouldn't know.
Maria?
Piggyback what Karina was saying, I think she read my notes because exactly what she was saying. I'm also in Leadership Marshalltown, but one of the biggest takeaways, just reminding myself, what is your superpower? They talked a lot about inspiring, and that's something that, I always, since I was little, I wanted to be that person. I wanted to be, that person that can inspire anyone, not just those individuals that identify themselves, as a Latina, but anyone, any woman or any human being to inspire to do better, that no matter what you have gone in life, that if you really want to move forward and help others, there's always a way to do what you want to do and be successful and inspire people. And be thankful too, and let, the community know, thank you for what you do, and making sure that everyone feels valuable, because there's a lot of our, teachers and a lot of community members that do a lot, and maybe they don't always tell us the great things they do, but once we do see it, it's making sure we let them know, hey, your hard work is being noticed. And I actually did enjoy the school finance. It was a lot, yes, but Randy was there and he did an amazing job in explaining some of the terminology that was said, or asking him questions. So him being there was really helpful. And it helped me understand a little bit more about the whole budgeting. Obviously, don't know everything from just that, session, but it does give me a better understanding of why the budget happens and the different pots of money. That it's not just like, hey, we have all this money, we can do, whatever we want. There's a lot of things that go into place.
That's what everybody thinks.
Liz?
Well, I thought it was very educational. I did not know much about school board policy and open meetings and silos, for school finance. So going to all of those different meetings, Randy and I got to hang out all day on Wednesday, so that was good. And so, yes, I learned a lot about that, and I thought Ravi was an excellent speaker, so it would be really great for the school if we could get him to come, because I agree. I thought he was very charismatic, and I like the idea of pivoting, because I think, life doesn't always go the way you want, so you have to pivot and learn different strategies and learn different ways of accomplishing what our goals are. So I really enjoyed that.
Randy?
Anything?
All right.
Go one or something.
Well, just a reminder too that we'll be hosting what Liz attended for the board orientation workshop in December, and we'll need to, I think we've heard back from most everybody in terms of who can attend. Many of you have attended that probably at least once, if not more, but with us hosting, it'd be nice to have a nice representation of board members, and I have offered that to our student school board reps to participate in as well. That'll be open for the whole region, and it's particularly geared towards new board members, but it's a good reminder of roles and responsibilities of the board versus administration or the superintendent, that sort of thing too. So we're excited to, again, be able to showcase the Orpheum Black Box with that particular event.
Just one more thing about the ISB conference, and then Leah, you can tell us all about your trip. Giselle, you're here, so I'm going to tell you this, but this applies to you and Natalie and Deanna, who are all there. You guys are confident in a way that I could not have imagined being when I was your age. you're willing to, attend that conference, first of all, and then ask questions in those sessions and participate fully was amazing. It was really great to see. So, good job. Yep.
Okay, well, so instead of attending the IASB conference, Dr. Schutte asked me to go with a few of the high school teachers to Indiana and to visit a school that has implemented junior achievement program
3DE.
in their high school. It's called 3DE. And so this school is very similar to our high school. There are actually 5 schools in that school district very similar to our high school, and one has implemented this program, they could say wall to wall, so the entire high school. But it really is only, they start in 9th grade, and then the next year it's 9th and 10th grade. So they're in their second year, so it's really just 9th and 10th grade, but all the 9th and 10th grade students go through this program. And I have all sorts of information about it. So a group went to Olathe about a month ago, and a group is going to go to Atlanta this summer?
Yeah, we've had 2 separate groups go to Olathe.
Okay.
And then, because there are some schools that have adopted it as a school within a school model, and then there's some schools, as what Leah visited, that have done it across the whole school. And so Atlanta is where it started, and so I think we are gonna send a team.
I would recommend that. I would like to see some of the stats for schools that have implemented this for a longer period of time. Their stats, I'll tell you what the program is, but their stats were amazing. So they went from 79% attendance to 92% attendance. They went from a 2.37 GPA to a 2.64 GPA for that class, which isn't, it doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a big move for the same set of students. They went from, they were looking at, because you can't really do graduation rates yet because it's only been a couple of years, right? So then they looked at progress towards graduation. So how many had earned 10 or more credits, and they had 78% had only earned 10 or more credits in the previous cohort, and this group has 84% earning 10 or more credits, with about 13 credits being the average earned across the whole group. And their passing rates for English 9 went from 86% to 96%. And their passing rate for Algebra 1, 2 went from 88% to 94%. So just huge swings in, they said they had improved scores in 40 different metrics that they tracked. So not just a couple of things, but basically everything they're tracking across the board. So this is a high school.
Oh, is this a class or?
So what it is it's a whole program that they implement in the school, and Junior Achievement helps them do it, and it's project-based learning. So basically, everyone takes a college and career readiness class, gets added to everyone's curriculum, and out of that class, JA works with, they have some national companies they work with, and then they work with your local companies, and there is a 6-week case study out of this college and career readiness class that ties into the curriculum in your English, math, social studies, science. Core classes. So it ties into that curriculum. Everybody in the whole 9th grade, for example, is doing the same case at the same time. They get to go visit that company, or somebody from that company comes and talks to them.
They have to solve a problem, they give them the framework to do it, and then they do a competition at the end. And they set them up, think kind of Harry Potter, they set them up by houses within the 9th grade, and or think Lenahan. It looks Harry Potter, they have signs up everywhere. And so they are within that house, and they break them up into teams, but that house, you have all the same core classes with that same group of students. So like Lenahan would do, where it might not be exactly the same kids in your class, but you're only gonna have core classes with those kids. And you work on your project in this career readiness, college and career readiness class. The teams within your house or your cohort change each time, but they said like the attendance rate increased because students are like, hey, I want to win. You're not participating. They hold each other accountable. So people come, they can see what they're learning in a real life scenario and in a real business scenario and actually apply it. So they tend to learn, like retain that information better. And so they compete within their house first, each team, and they select a team to go to this final competition at each house. And the whole school or that whole grade goes somewhere off-site, and those top teams present, and the company picks which one they like the most. So they said there was a lot of pride, like it didn't matter which team won, they were all about my house won. So there was a lot of pride in that piece. Even if they weren't on the winning team, they felt that sense of accomplishment. And there was a lot more like, I mean, you talk to the students and they said, well, I can see I'm learning things, I can see I'm applying them, I can see myself getting better at public speaking, at various different pieces of it, and everyone on the team has to participate, so they find ways to make that happen and pull everyone's strengths. And so they said, yeah, my confidence is better, my public speaking skills are improving, and just they could rattle off a whole list of different things that they were doing better than they were before. So it was really fun and energizing to be there and to listen to them all talk about it. But I would like to see if the stats are sustain and how many other schools have similar stats. I guess kind of the nice thing about that is you're paying money for the program. They put people in your school, so they help supplement. They have people in your, is it PLC? The teacher cohorts. So they put people in those PLCs with the teachers. They do all of the work to connect it to the curriculum. They do all the work to find the businesses. They plan all of the visits and all the people coming in and out for that particular thing. So they have a lot of like, if it doesn't work, you're not paying them money anymore and you're kicking them out, right? So they have a lot of ownership to that. And they said they've been doing this for 8 or 9 years and have over 50 districts that have been involved in the program. So there's a school in Iowa.
College Community is going to implement next year.
Yes, it was
Cedar Rapids.
right near, there was a school that starts with an A that was there. I'd never heard of this town before and I've lived here my whole life. Tiny little town north of Cedar Rapids near College Community.
Okay.
And so they do a full year to plan with you.
Anamosa?
Something like that. It's not Anamosa, it's a different one.
They do a whole year to plan with you, and then the next year you would implement in ninth grade. So the earliest we could do anything would be,
Next year would be the planning year.
next year would have to be the planning year, and then the following year would be like a ninth grade start if this was something we were gonna go towards. But I have all sorts of info if you wanna see or hear more, or if you wanna go visit Atlanta and talk to Dr. Schutte. But I was the only school board member there. It was all teachers, mostly ninth grade teachers, and then like staff, administrators.
Yeah, this came about through Junior Achievement of Greater Des Moines. They're super excited about the potential of launching a program or two, and so they specifically reached out to us and Ankeny about considering it. So it's a very, very different way of doing things. It's a
Very
very
different.
heavy lift, but as Leah said, it's really predicated on problem-based learning and project-based learning. And the good thing is it doesn't really take away from the existing curriculum. The teachers work to blend the existing curriculum in with these case studies and stuff. And one example that we heard in Olathe was the case study was around a problem that Delta Airlines was facing in terms of they were just having all kinds of issues with providing a customer-friendly environment and getting people on the planes. And so the case study was around how can we make this a more efficient and effective experience for our customers in terms of getting them on and off the planes and that sort of thing. The final year is a capstone year. The senior year is a capstone year where the project is something that winds up being competed at a national level with all the other schools. And so it's a big, big deal. And so the freshman, sophomore, and junior years are kind of building towards that capstone experience. But yeah, we're definitely trying to do our due diligence to see if this is a good fit for us. And we also want to get some of our middle school people, leadership, as well as some teacher leaders and teachers there, because the path that we were on prior to COVID with project-based learning there is a great foundation for kids moving into this sort of environment. So it's a high school program, but we really want, if we were to go down this road, to revisit how best to incorporate these teaching and learning strategies into the middle school as well.
So, and I can talk to you a little bit about that they said they would do that during that year after that planning year. They also had, so this district, Fort Wayne, had one school that had been doing a wall-to-wall, all the freshmen, sophomores, and one school that had been doing like a school within a school where they just created one cohort and you could opt in or out. And so I tried to spend time with both of those folks to see how they were doing it. They're now moving wall-to-wall across all their schools. All 5 of their high schools next year will be wall-to-wall. And the reason they're doing that is, 1, they saw better outcomes. 2, they had in the school within a school version, like the kids that really needed that program didn't sign up for that program, right? They could see this is gonna be extra work and didn't necessarily opt in. So it was great for the students that were in it, but then they had kids trying to bounce in and out of the program throughout the year and change their mind. And so they just decided, we're not gonna do that, everybody's gonna do it.
And I really appreciate your willingness to go and in lieu
It's
of
kinda
going to the
fun.
conference, because I do think that hopefully we can get another board member to a school visit to see more closely what it's about, because it will be a huge
would be a
undertaking and a huge
huge
lift.
shift.
But I do believe it's the right way to provide teaching and learning experiences, whether it's within this program or just normal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was fun to see something that looks like it's really working, right? In a school that, very similar to ours, where all of the students have free and reduced lunch, whether they need it or not. All, very diverse population, very like industrial kind of town. I mean, much larger than Marshalltown, but very, like GE was there and then closed half their facilities. There's other kind of manufacturing type work there that just, when you drove around, you're like, this looks like us. The school looks like us when you walk around and visit the different classrooms. The students were super respectful, even the ones in the hall. Sir, ma'am, pardon me. I was like, this is amazing. They probably had an assembly the day before and said, this is how you're gonna act when all these people are here. But it was just very different than what I experience when I go to I get lots of because my kids just graduated, but it was very interesting.
Just really briefly, another takeaway when I went to Kansas was listening to the students and also picturing, that they're getting ready for our future workforce. So when we left, that's super excited. And I was just thinking about how many employers, would want those students to be working for them just because of all the different skills that they're gaining. So I was like, yes, we definitely need this in our town because, we have a great community and we have great teachers. And with that program is just, helping, add a little bit more to the content that already exists, not anything extra to the curriculum, but just adding it to teach those students those fundamental skills that, every day I hear from employers that they see that the workforce currently, is lacking. So if we were able to provide that to the students, it would be amazing.
Yep.
Well, that will bring us to the conclusion of the open session of this evening's board meeting. We'll take about a 5-minute break to give everybody a chance to clear out, and then we'll go into closed session.
So even though I didn't pay for that, I still can't give it away.
Give cards back. Thanks, Giselle.